Hello. We are back to reading chapter 12. Well, actually, just starting chapter 12. We're back to read chapter 12 of Revelation. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who, quote, will rule all the nations with an iron scepter, unquote. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. Does that number sound familiar? I'm going to have to go back and check. 1,260 days. What I was wondering was, it was when at the beginning of chapter 11, he says, they will trample. I'll go back a couple verses. He's telling them to go and measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshipers, but exclude the outer court. Do not measure it, because it has been given to the Gentiles. They will trample on the holy city for 42 months. And I will appoint my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. So that's where I saw that number before. 1,260 days is where she will be taking care of the women who had the son. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, quote, Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before our God day and night, has been hurled down. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Therefore, rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them, but woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short, unquote. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she would be taken care of for a time, times, and half a time, out of the serpent's reach. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman, and the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. Wow, this is really interesting. Just some of there were actually no references. I was wondering if I missed a reference. You may have noticed that I said quote unquote in some places, and so that's why, and I guess it's just because it's dialogue, somebody speaking it out loud there, and not referencing another part of the Bible. It's just interesting about, the serpent chasing the woman who had the child, who I'm thinking we can kind of, guess who that is because of what it said about him in the beginning, I believe. It's about to give, she was pregnant. Because he says, and her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. Then later at the very end of the chapter, then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, which those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. When you think Adam and Eve, like we're all offspring of Eve, or of both of them. But this woman who had the child were considered offspring if we hold fast to keep God's commands, hold fast to the testimony about Jesus. So then I would say those who are righteous, who have the righteousness of Christ, are also considered the offspring of the woman who is being protected in this scenario. So just some thoughts in my head. Like I haven't read any commentary about this, but I'm, curious along with you, I'm sure. So if you have anything to discuss about this or to add to a discussion, that would be great. Otherwise, I will see you back here to read chapter 13. And if I have any additions to, thoughts about chapter 12 before then, I will let you know. All right. Bye.